Welcome into Dallas Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. The NBA draft is 8 days away, so on today's show, we're going to do some trade ideas involving the number 26 pick, which, of course, is the Mavs' lone pick in this year's draft. Before we get to all that, though, this is the time to subscribe to this channel because our Mavericks news and rumors coverage, it's ramping up. Videos almost every single day. Subscribe today so you don't miss any of it. News, rumors, trade buzz, draft buzz, mock draft stuff. We'll get into some of that later this week and next week as well. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. Go ahead and subscribe to Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. That way you don't miss any of our coverage. All right, let's get into our first trade idea here. It involves the Lakers. Mavericks receive Kendrick Nunn in a second-round pick, which was initially Washington's, for that number 26 overall pick. So, you're getting a quality backup guard for a first, basically, is what you're getting. Sure, you get a second back as well. Kendrick Nunn in his career, 15 points. He can really fill up the scoreboard from time to time. Sometimes he'll just randomly drop 30. He didn't play much at all last year for the Lakers. Did he play at all, Sam? No, didn't play at all. Missed the entire year with injury. But he had a couple of years with Miami where he played pretty darn well. Had that bone bruise all year, which is kind of a funky one in his knee to cause him to miss an entire season. I think the Lakers really missed him. I thought he was going to play a pretty big role for that team as he was one of the lone younger signings that they had. Got some upside. You get a second-round pick. 26, it's not like it's a top 10 pick or something like that. So it's not, that difficult to move on from pick number 26 if you're getting somewhat of a proven commodity, which I would say Kendrick Nunn is. The only reason I would have some drawback is you've got Luka, you've got Brunson, you've got Dinwiddie. He's your fourth kind of creator. Okay, I don't know if it's a major need for Dallas, but he's certainly better than a guy like Trey Burke, so you could do a lot worse. All right, trade idea number 2 involving the 26th pick. It's pretty simple. Talen Horton-Tucker for number 26. Now, THT was a second-round pick a few years ago, but he certainly has played better than that. I would say he's probably played to the caliber of a mid-late first-round pick. He's flashed major potential at times. He's been frustrating at times. I thought last year he kind of flatlined after having a pretty solid season the year before, but he can play on ball, he can play off ball, he can guard multiple positions as well, capable of being a high-volume scorer in this league also. I liked THT more 12 months ago than I think I do now. Now, I don't think he's necessarily done improving as a player. I think he can still improve, but I think if you're the Lakers, you might be wanting to shed some of that cap space by moving THT, a guy they signed to a pretty nice contract. And if you're Dallas, okay, he can come off the bench. He can be kind of a hybrid 1-2-3 guy that can play on or off ball. Like I said, guard multiple positions. Probably like the Nunn trade a little bit better because you also get a second-round pick back, but this could be another option as well. Some wings on the roster for Dallas: Tim Hardaway, Reggie Bullock, Finney Smith, and Josh Green. Obviously, you got to beef up that position. The Mavs really missed Tim Hardaway in the playoffs because Bullock and Finney Smith just had to play so many minutes, and Josh Green wasn't a guy that could play in extended stretches because he can't shoot the basketball, and teams were just daring him to shoot. So a guy like Horton-Tucker could certainly help a little bit in that regard. Now pick a Laker. Who would you rather trade for? Type KN for Kendrick Nunn. Type THT for Talen Horton-Tucker. I'd probably lean toward the Nunn trade, even though I may like THT as a player better. I just think the Nunn trade was a little bit of a better one. But let me know, KN or THT. Now, like I said, the NBA draft is closing in, almost just over a week away. Next Thursday, June 23rd, and we're going to have you covered on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. I'll be on our live coverage, so will Chase Sr., who you guys see from time to time here on Mavericks Today. Subscribe over there to Chat Sports, and be sure to join us for the NBA draft. We'll also, of course, break down if the Mavs make that pick at 26 or if they end up trading it. Okay, let's go to trade idea number 3. Jakob Poeltl to Dallas for a number 26 and Davis Bertans. So you kind of shed Bertans' salary, and you get more of a traditional big in Poeltl, whereas Bertans is just catch-and-shoot three-point guy, basically. Now, San Antonio continues to be stuck in this kind of purgatory. You kind of wonder if they're just going to blow it all up eventually and kind of tank for a couple of years to kind of reset, but they haven't really done that. Maybe this is an offseason they would consider doing that. Now, Jakob Poeltl is pretty damn good. He's kind of a sneaky player. The Spurs always have a few of these guys where you're like, where did they find this guy? 13.5 just over 9 rebounds. He can block shots, score around the basket as well. Decent little mid-range, can pass out of the high post. So he's a quality big. He's certainly better than Dwight Powell. I don't think that's that far of a stretch. So I actually don't mind this trade for Dallas. Kind of an under-the-radar big that would help the center position, which obviously is a spot that I think the Mavs will have some focus on this offseason. All right, speaking of the Spurs, speaking of rivalries, who is the biggest Mavs rival? I think at times it's been all these teams. Obviously, San Antonio for years. You had Dirk v. Duncan for 15 years. That's obviously historically probably the biggest one. Rockets. That's just like the Spurs and Mavs. The one thing they agree on, they don't respect the Rockets. I think that's just a fact. Clippers recently, back-to-back years. Obviously, that's not going to be a historic type of rivalry, but I think you see that in the NBA where certain teams who match up in the playoffs kind of generate that. That's what we saw with Dallas and Miami. I don't think that juice is quite there anymore, but from about 06 to 11, 12, 13, those teams did not like each other whatsoever. So what would you say? Who is the Mavs' biggest rival? SAS for the Spurs, HOU for the Rockets, LAC for the Clippers, or you can type MIA for the Miami Heat. Trade idea number 4, and it's getting busy here. Clint Capela and Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Hawks for a first-round pick, 26 overall. Davis Bertans, Dwight Powell, and Josh Green. A lot of moving parts, but the money lines up here. We put it in the old trade machine and got the green check mark. Listen, Bogdanovic doesn't have a great contract, but he's a really good scorer, can play multiple positions. Clint Capela would fit really well with Luka Doncic as a roller to the basket, good defensive big and rebounder as well. And there's a report out there that Atlanta, everyone's available except Trae Young. That's basically what was reported a couple of weeks ago, and I've always liked Clint Capela. I think he would fit really well with this team, both offensively and defensively. He's a double-double machine. This team desperately needs rebounding. He's one of the better rebounding bigs in the league, and he's a good roller and scores around the basket. He can also block shots. I like that. Bogdanovic, he's a guy that can start or come off the bench and give you good scoring. He can shoot the basketball both as a catch-and-shoot guy, but also as an ISO scorer as well at 6'6", 220. He's got good shot size. He can play the 2 through the 4 depending on the lineups, so I like that as well. So you're getting another wing, check. You're getting a major upgrade at center, check. Would Atlanta take that deal? Maybe. If they value someone in the first round, you may have to send a future first-round pick as well because there's a lot going on there. But if we are to believe that the Hawks are willing to make major changes, maybe a trade like that could be a possibility. All right, final trade here involving the 26th pick for the Dallas Mavericks. Jerami Grant to Dallas for that pick, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Josh Green. So the way I view this is you're kind of trading 2 first-round picks to Detroit for Jerami Grant. I would say the combination of Tim Hardaway and Josh Green is probably equal to that of 1 first-round pick, and then you're also sending 26. So 2 firsts for Grant kind of feels like a pretty fair deal to me. Grant has been linked to Dallas before. They've had interest in him in the past as he's continued to improve over the years as a really good 3-and-D player who's kind of well-rounded his offensive game as well. He can put the ball on the deck a little bit. He's honestly just a better Dorian Finney-Smith. I mean, that's kind of what you have here with Grant. More polished offensively, obviously. Maybe Finney-Smith is a better catch-and-shoot three-point shooter at this point, but Grant's obviously a better all-around player. Did miss some time with injuries last year, only played in 47 games, but I think he's a guy that would fit really well on this team. He would give you some defensive protection for Luka Doncic, and if Jalen Brunson is on this team still too, because obviously that can be a challenging backcourt defensively at times, but I've always liked Jerami Grant. He's a guy that can fit in anywhere because he can guard 3, 4, 5 positions at times, and he can score the basketball at all 3 levels. So we'll see if he ends up getting dealt. There's a report out there that Detroit could move him. All right, so let's cycle through the trades here one by one, and then you let me know which trade was your favorite. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So here's the first trade. We'll kind of just B-roll it here, and you guys can just glance at it, and then at the end, type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I would probably say the Hawks one, which is trade idea number 4, or the one for Jakob Poeltl or Jerami Grant. So 3, 4, or 5 are the ones I like the best. I don't love the Kendrick Nunn or Horton-Tucker trade ideas, but I do think the value is proper there. Let me know. Pick a trade that you like the best, and we'll see you soon here on Mavericks Today.